like you said, initially when you're thinking about it, you're just thinking about essential work, not essential workers. You're thinking about the prisoners.
Right.
You know, you're not thinking about all the ancillary workers that are there that have to, have no choice.
That's right.
Somebody has to be there. Somebody has to do that job. And so you don't think about them initially, but there's a bigger risk there than just the inmates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that, like I said, the inmates are not going to bring this home to their family. There's more of a chance because
No.
they're there 24/7, but they're not going to bring it home to their family until they have it
Exactly.
released. You see what I mean? And this also throws a stigma on those who may have been locked up. They've turned it around from a thing that originated in China, so they say. We don't know anything. We hear this on the media. We don't know. They say it was an American thing that they sent over there and it backfired. It was a Chinese thing. When we listen to the media, we do know what they were saying at first, and all of a sudden now it's a black thing. So now it's more of a
Mm-hmm.
black thing because there's so many of us that are locked up. So the stigma really going to
Right.
be on inmates who are black that were locked up and coming out. And this is what
Exactly.
about the women? The women who have sentences and who are there for various reasons.
Oh my
When
God.
we think jail,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking. The thing about it is that these inmates. I'm hearing myself. Um,
Yeah,
when you think about it, you have inmates coming in every day, and so whomever is coming in new could be bringing this thing in, as well as you have the workers that are coming in. They're going out, they're coming in. Somebody could be bringing it in. A worker could bring it in.
right, right. Yes, and I
You
saw
know?
I saw Brother Matthew White said that this news is fake. We must be careful, but we have to think about it, whether it's fake or not. You know, um, I'm not moving around in fear. I'm okay. I'm eating good, and I'm just I'm trying to get my rest and everything. But I'm good.
But that's you. But
Yeah,
that's you.
true, true.
Look at what they get to eat. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they
Everything
get to eat all
counts.
that well.
No, they don't. They don't.
You know,
They don't. I mean,
right?
I can't say this
Their
elder.
immune system is not going to be as strong as the average person. I mean, someone who's eating well, who's taking care of themselves, who, you know, they're probably compromised. A lot of them probably have compromised immune system.
And see, it's an individual thing because, say, for example, you have a homeless person that comes in for loitering or panhandling. They may be homeless, but the possibility, even on bad food out there in the street, their immune system can be a little stronger because they're out there in the elements. I mean, they're homeless, sleeping on park benches, but guess what? The air they breathe might be a little better than what we breathe in a dusty house that has been cleaned in a while. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
and and
Mhm.
and so it's compromised where they're eating anything, but they're out there sleeping. It's a danger to sleep out there. I remember driving the bus and speaking to many homeless who told me the deal about their life. You know,
Right.
some who I
Right.
might look to go out and interview if it's just an audio interview, but there's many different factors. There may be somebody who comes from an affluent household who didn't pay their
Exactly.
child support or the
Exactly.
license, and they're chubby and fat and weak in immune system because they eat junk, but they live in a nice place. Doesn't mean they're healthy. They go in there.
That's right.
You see, so
That's right.
how do you break this thing down? You know,
Good question.
So yeah. How do you
Oh,
break it down?
oh, I wonder if someone in the chat might have something to chime in on this one. How do you break it down? What do you do?
Thank you, D. Simmons, for the
You know?
compliment. That's showing you too. Thank you. I'm humble though.
Huh?
Well,
You're humble.
D. Simmons gave us a compliment, so you know. Um, like I said, I just don't know. I just don't know. And we're gonna be covering topics every night. These are not gonna be the 8 hour shows, whatever. Maybe once in the blue moon, but we're not gonna end it right now. There's a couple more things I want to say, but we're gonna give it here.
you know,
hmm And I have some more
Rahima
things to
just said
upload. Say it again.
Rahima just said something that they're probably safer than us for being indoors. And if that's a woman, he or she has a good point because they're telling you that you're doing yourself an injustice by staying home, by staying in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, because you're actually lowering your immune system by staying squeaky clean.
Right.
You need to be out there. You know, what, 3 months ago, we were outside, we were walking around, we were touching dirty stuff. You know, you put your hand in your mouth, you put your hand on your face, you went home, you may have gotten something to eat before you washed your hands. I'm just saying, you know, there have been times when, you know, even if you're very meticulous and, you know, you wash your hands all the time, there have been times that you're out there and, you know, you touch a door, you do something, you grab a bite to eat, you didn't wash your hands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And nobody paid any attention to that. You didn't think to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm going to be sick. This is going to happen to me. This is not going to happen to me." You know, and then all of a sudden, this thing comes along, and you know, you can't wash your hands enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You just can't. You can't wash your hands enough, and now we're paranoid. And so now we are not allowing our bodies to build up natural immunity to anything anymore because we're washing our hands constantly. We're wearing a mask. We are disinfecting every part of our body. You know, and so we're putting ourselves at a bigger disadvantage than the folks out there that are just, you know, doing their thing.
Right. Because to stay at home, I mean, you know, it's one touch that you need, according to what they say. You do go to the supermarket, you do come outside. I mean, what if you have your car parked in the street and somebody walks by and some little kid has it and he's riding his bike and he runs his hand across the side of your car and your handle? I mean, this is not to make people paranoid and get bent out of shape, but it's just to think. If there comes a point where they say that most people recover, 95% of the people that get it recover, but they're pushing in the news all of these deaths. What's the truth? If they say, I mean, are they saying that reluctantly? I mean, that means there's only 5% of those who get it. But yet, what happened to the flu? The real flu anymore, are they saying that the coronavirus is the flu?
Was always the flu?
Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly what they're saying.
See, I would like to.
And this year they gave it an official name. Last year they just told you that it was a new strain of the bug and that they didn't have vaccines for it and that we should just be careful. This year they gave it a name. And they decided to use it to whatever advantage they intend to.
Right. But they're pushing it so much. Okay, tell me this. Hasn't the flu gone worldwide? Right? And I'm going to ask this stupid question. Why are they focusing on coronavirus more than the regular flu that killed more people? Right? Why are they pushing it in the media when we're still eating bad food and catching heart attacks? We don't hear about that. We still have diabetes. We still have cancer. We have all these things.
Right. But if we follow the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole, we know that there are other agendas in the work. You know, we could speak about the well spoken of 5G. We don't know if that's what it is. You know,
that factor also.
Right. You know, I talk about my situation, you know, as far as the things that I've been experiencing, you know, the weird feelings and stuff like that. And until last December, I wasn't having these kinds of feelings, you know, and it wasn't until, and I didn't know anything about, at that time, I didn't know anything about the real harsh effects of 5G or whatever. That wasn't really being spoken of. You know, but you were feeling things. You were literally experiencing weird and strange behaviors, you know, and feelings in your body, you know. And so now that you know what they're doing, you know, in the neighborhood and all the different, you know, street work that they're doing, that maybe, you know, that's something to think about. Something is actually going on. And if this is something that they're trying to implement worldwide, because whatever they're doing, every country worldwide has to, you know, be on board. then they're going to use something to distract us in a way that we don't see the real danger that we're going to be up against.
Yes, yes. Well, see,
You know?
look at the comment by Eva Psalms 119, 142. She said they're
Yeah.
saying it to put fear into people's hearts, which creates anxiety, and this in turn lowers the immune system.
Lowers the immune system. Absolutely. That is so true. That is so true. If you're not careful,
Right.
if you're not aware. So the fact that we're talking about it, and we're putting the word out, so to speak.
Yes.
We're
guilty. We're guilty, right? We're part of the machine now. We're doing the work for them.
No. I was going to say that we're guilty of now giving people power, so to speak, to now take care of themselves.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about it, so for those who are listening, they're going to do all that they need to do. There's going to be no fear, right?
Exactly.
Try not to have any anxiety, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to boost your immune system.
Exactly.
And I just want to say real quick, for anyone in the chat, I know, a couple of people knew my voice on Friday night, so they already knew who it was that was talking to you. I kind of made some comments the other day, and it was like, okay, well, I can't pretend anymore because they already said certain things in the chat.
And I blew you up today anyway, still too. Not anonymous anymore.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, just so if anyone was wondering, I have my youngest daughter. She lives on her own in another state, and just what Eva was just saying, she hadn't been feeling well because she's sort of an essential worker,
yes.
and she hadn't been feeling well for a while, and she had been home for about 2 weeks. And over the weekend, she really started to not feel good.
Oh.
And, she's young, living alone, and, whatever. She just thought to herself, oh, my God, if something really happens to me, I'm here by myself, no one would know what's going on. And I think just that thought going into her head, it turned out to be more of a panic attack.
Yes.
Thank the Lord. But she went into panic mode, so she took herself to the hospital. Now, granted, the good thing about it is that where she is, the hospital, they're not inundated with that kind of stuff there. You know what I mean? So she took herself to the hospital. They ran the test, whatever test they needed to run, and they came back and told her everything was okay. I think once she knew that everything was okay with her, she was fine because she's not an easily frightened individual, but it was just the fact that, she's by herself. She's alone.
Right.
And then for me, as a mom, I am not even in driving distance. I couldn't jump in my car and say, okay, I'll be there in an hour, 2 hours, whatever, So I was not feeling very good. I was not feeling very good at all, but all is good, all is well. And I just want to say for those who was on the chat that night and sent their positive energies, I do appreciate it. It really helped me. It helped my spirits when I saw what some of the folks were saying. So yes, thank you so much.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're supposed to do with each other. Even in cyberspace, where, for example, we may not see each other's faces, and we all have the right to really come to the beach and go as deep and as far as we want. Some go to the beach and put their foot in the water. Some don't get in the water. Some go waist high.
Right.
Some go and swim and immerse themselves in the water. So in cyberspace, I always try to honor those who come on. I don't try to pull them out of where they are because we all have different reasons for having different levels of anonymity. So, we're decent people here. We have an occasional troll or whatever have you. But,
right.
At the end of the day, no matter where we stand, as far as how deep we go to reveal who we are, we still should show love and send a kind word, no matter what. Even if we don't agree on things, when we get to that point, we need to use that because they're trying to put social distancing on us. But I just want to repeat a comment that was from Brother Killaboo. I put it up. We'll say brother. That's
Right.
Andrew. That's his wife's account. So it's a male actually. And he said, and where is all this money coming from when the USA was in debt? And now they're spending trillions of dollars to fund these companies, right? My other thing to add on
Mm.
to that is how we had
Play
all these
money.
different, yeah, yeah, different companies, different countries who were enemies, but all of a sudden they're cooperating with this out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it be
Mhm.
if you hated the other country? Like you
Mhm.
wanted to drop a nuke on them or do something. It's like, well, you deal with it yourself. We're closing our borders. We're going to stay right here. So
Mhm.
all of a sudden that. And the other thing I want to remind people of, they locked Italy down, but they want to go and
Yes.
test the virus in Akabulin or Africa, if you want to call it that. But
Mhm.
why us? Why us?
Exactly. Why us? Because we're the scapegoat.
Hmm.
Africa has always been the scapegoat. They've always been the testing ground for, for these what do you call it, diabolical crap that they put out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Africa has always been the testing ground. So what's new?
Let's also throw out some good energy to Honey Johnson. She said, that's my fear because my son is in another state and he is also an essential employee who's living alone. You know what I mean? And so this is why
Right.
we have to use social media to really, if we can reach out to other people who he works with and keep in contact with them, we need to use it this way now against what they really want to use it on us to distract us, right? Let them,
Right.
we need to be a little more open. Like, here's my mom's Facebook, here's my mom's Twitter, or whatever way. You may not want to even share the Facebook. It may be some other platform, or maybe make up different platforms or pages just to keep in contact to get the real deal. Because of course that fear is real because so many of us are getting snatched up and snatched out, even by these hospitals.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
can we forget about maybe um, the organ theft? Do we forget about the young black
No.
girls in Washington being snatched up? So now, if they're snatched up all over the place and we're killed for our organs, I'm not trying to say this to scare anybody, right? They can say
Mhm.
coronavirus and things move on as usual because they put this thing out on the news and we don't look at it because we assume it's the virus. So
Right. And
yeah, go ahead.
no, and then the fact that they're doing it where you're in isolation from your family members. So, whatever they do to you or to your body, who's gonna know? Who,
Exactly.
you know, who's gonna know what they're taking from you?
And
You
who
know,
can stand there in proxy for you until you get there? You see what I mean?
no
So
one.
so so we need to get it. We need to get at least for everyone three people independent of that person who is your loved one. Like in her case, her son. In your case, your daughter. That
Mhm.
may not be their best of buddies, but somebody who is good and close, and somebody who understands and form these allegiances with people who are in different proximities to them that they
Right.
can report into to say, hey, this is the last time I talked to them, and still reach out to them too, and we help them and
Right.
expand even
Right.
more.
Right. Well, thankfully, that's her birth state, so to speak. And we do have friends there, that worst case scenario, they can look in on her. And as a matter of fact, one of my friend's husbands did go and meet her at the hospital so he could sit with her until, everything was okay. So, on the outside, she has people, but when you're talking about just being home and, you know, something happens overnight, there's no one, you know what I mean? There's no one
Yeah,
there initially. Initially. Ultimately, there's enough people that would find out that initially that's the part that scared her. So, yeah,
wow,
those are the things, Jeff. Those are the things that you kind of have to, you know, concern yourself with, you know.
exactly. So
But,
yeah, no, I was gonna say we just got to get our heads right. Not that there's anything wrong with naturally caring and naturally, being a little under the weather because of what may be happening, but bottom line is it's a mind thing also. We have to
yeah,
have our mind strong.
yeah,
We can't really,
yeah,
and it doesn't mean that when you get a little scared, a little fearful, that is natural. Don't we're not we're human. We have emotions.
Exactly.
You know.
You're gonna have that initial pang. I don't care who you are. I don't care how strong your resolve is. Initially you're gonna feel something because, like you said, we're human. And at the worst end of this thing, we already know what the worst is. You know what I mean? And so nobody wants to get to the worst end.
Right.
And so when something starts to happen in you initially, where under normal circumstances you would just take it as, oh, I need to drink more, vitamin C, orange juice, whatever,
Yes.
all is well. Now we're looking at a whole not a set of protocols that we might have to work with. Like I said before, I have on my stove, every day I change it. I put a fresh batch of, my citrus peels and different things to do with steam.
Right.
And I do it because if I have to go outside and come back in, you know, common sense just says, okay, you don't know what you're dealing with, so just take the necessary precautions. So it's not fear, it's just being sensible, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
There are a lot of comments that I'm flashing across the screen, and I want people to read them, because there's a lot of facts out there, there's a lot of things that people need to look into. And I just want to say this on an open level. The contact information is up there, I just flashed it. If anybody has
Okay.
anybody they would want me to interview of note who is in position, not a nutcase out there, you know what I mean? We don't need to spread anything that's not right. But somebody who has a position to bring some facts, even if you don't agree with them, even if you want to say, hey, they're working for the man, they're working for the system, or questionable,
Right.
but somebody, because we're going to have to decide who's propped up and who's real about it. Because we know anybody who's
Right.
propped up and really undercover working for the system and spreading information because of a doctor or so and so. I'm not saying who was just suggested as a quack. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying now they need to step forward if they say something for public, for public scrutiny. Because look,
Right.
CNN and Fox and headline news, they're not going to do that because we know what their agenda is to work along with getting us killed off and all of this stuff. How, can I prove it? I'm seeing it. I don't know what's happening with the backdoor deals and the under the table deals and secret allegiances and alliances. I don't know that, but I can see the pattern. And I'm quite sure everybody here can see that no matter what they feel about it, whether they feel it's fake or it's real, that they know that they're not being told the real truth. That's the bottom line.
Right.
No matter where you stand on this, you know you're not getting the whole story. There's something fishy.
Right.
Won't be no
So, I mean, because I don't know 100%, I know that there are some other agendas, that is behind all of this. We just have to wait and see if it actually, becomes, or gets implemented rather. Um, that's going to be quite shocking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Can't speak about it, but if it does play out, it's going to blow a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
And so we just have to wait and see
You ain't
what
gotta
all
go.
is coming down the pipe.
That's right.
It might
You
it
ain't
might
got
be
to.
that we, as you and Brother Kwaku have been talking about, that people have to be prepared for, the unknown.
Yeah.
Um,
If you,
yeah,
if you can go back and listen to some of the things that Brother Quaker said a year ago, 2 years ago, even more, and things I heard him say before he was coming on and sharing the love and what's inside of him. He's been saying stuff. Oh, okay, we're not swamis or prophets, or whatever have you, but really, in essence, when you look at it, he's been very prophetic. I will say, not because he's just my brother-in-law, but he is a prophet.
yeah,
He says these things. He's not connected to anybody. He says this stuff on his own. He meditates and he downloads stuff, and he comes out and he's dead on every time. When has he? And we have people who want to be that, And people say, well, what do you mean it's a prophet? You're trying to, you're blaspheming. No, listen. Everybody, if they're connected, can be prophetic in what they say, more or less.
Mhm.
He is totally
Mhm.
committed, and he has no interest. He's not looking for to rob anybody's bank account. He does his own thing in business, done quite well, and he sacrifices. He puts himself on the front line saying these things. He has a very distinctive look. You're not going to mistake him for anybody. You'll see
Exactly.
you'll see rosters out there, and you're like, that ain't Kwaku. When you see Kwaku, you know it's
Mhm.
him. You know what I mean? Now
Mhm.
maybe me as a
Mhm.
bald headed dude, I might get away with it for a while.
No, you ain't getting away. You're not getting away. I'm sorry. It's a very unique one.
But you know what I mean. Let's soon wrap it down. We were gonna, like I said, I'd like to do this every night, maybe a little earlier, do a little hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It's been a little less than an hour, and folks will say, "Man, we're having fun," and I'm having fun. But again, I have to say that, last night when I came in, because we went out of town for a couple of days and came back, didn't even stress myself. We rested really good. But we
Right.
took the drive in, and because I rested, even though I did some shows and recordings, it's like when you go somewhere else that's so nice and you don't have to say, and you just let go. And I let
Yeah.
go. It,
It's like going to a really, really luxurious hotel.
yes, but this was
Yeah.
even better. You know what I mean? It's just
Because
everything.
it's yeah, it's family and friends. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, when I got back, I relaxed out. Listen, Quaker was driving. I'm gonna put it out there. Mrs. Scurv is in the back, and I'm sitting in the front. We're talking. I, I closed my eyes for what seemed like 3 minutes, and we were back in Orlando again. This was quite a long distance of a drive. And so Quaker said,
Mhm.
"Hey, brother, you were really out." You know the way he says. It? So he was like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but he insisted. He said, "Listen, tonight, meaning last night, this is
Right.
no shows, brother, no shows."
Right.
And for
Right.
me, it let me know that even though I get my sleep, like Dr. Kang said when he first looked at me, he said, "You're getting your sleep, but you're not getting any rest." And I'm
Exactly.
like, wow, that's deep. So after relaxing for the weekend, coming back, all of a sudden it's like the floodgates open of all that I owed as far as rest back to my body. It was like my body was like the IRS coming for an audit. And when I got out of the
Mhm.
car, I never felt naturally bad. Like when I had malaria, of course I know. But as far as like not having anything, it
Mhm.
was scary. It was like I was walking like an old man. And that was
I'll
because
tell you what it feels like. I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like some. You ever seen a rag doll?
exactly.
And somebody, you just take that rag doll and just keep whipping it against the wall, back and forth, back and forth. That's what you felt like. You felt like somebody took you and just whipped you back and forth against the wall and put you down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I couldn't believe it, and I knew it. And I said, you
Hmm.
know what? I brought some pieces of equipment to be able to do a little show that I did and a couple of things we did. And usually I'm going to set stuff straight before I sign off and go to bed. I just put
Right.
everything down. I think I ate two mangoes and a cup of the cinnamon tea. Oh, that tea. Um, I went to sleep and I slept for 11 hours. 11 hours. 11 hours.
Mm.
I mean,
Mhm.
sleep. You know, I don't remember getting up to even use the bathroom. All I know is that
Mhm.
I'm a terrific marksman because I didn't wet up the seat. I'll just put it that way. Too much information.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
indeed, Shantae,
Okay.
I must rest. And so, because of that,
Yes.
um,
Yeah, you do need to rest.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna do that tonight.
Mental fatigue. Mental
It's
fatigue
a
will
mind
do
thing.
it to
Yeah,
you.
because
Yeah.
I've conquered the physical in the past. I know what it's like to push your body. And I remember the last time I really slept 11 hours like that was August of 1982. But at that particular
Mm.
point, I was 19 years old, and I was training for these different competitions in bodybuilding, and I was working out 3 hours a day in the gym. I was bike riding lots of miles from Brooklyn into Queens and riding around. Then I would go running, and mind you, I was eating a little fish, a little bit of vegetables, lots of pineapples, water, and tea.
Mm.
And I did that for about 2 years. But really, that whole year of 1982, I did that. I might have went to McDonald's once or twice, but it was
Okay.
so when I was really burned down and my face was sucked in like a skull and I had no body fat, I was pushing myself. But I was young, younger.
Right. Mhm.
But
Mhm.
now with
Mhm.
the accumulation of when life hits you, this is what I want to say overall because it's not about me, it's about all of us. And I'll wrap this down after this. When life is dealing with you and you are wearing many hats and you are
Mhm.
multitasking, no matter what the situation, you have family, if you don't have family, you have yourself, and the way this world is coming at your resources on a mental, physical,
Mhm.
spiritual level, usually at
Mhm.
some point it begins to take more than what you save up. And we fear it
Exactly.
sometimes. We tell ourselves, oh, if we go on another 6 months like this, doing this overtime, once I pay this credit card off, once I pay this car off, once I accumulate a little bit of money, then I'll be all
You'll
right.
never,
Then I'll
you'll
back off.
never, you'll never get there. You'll never
You'll
pay
never,
off,
never.
do everything that you think you're going to do, because there's always going to be something else that crops up.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. And yes, you're right, Mr. Killer Brew. The sleep deprivation that Eddie that Dick Gregory said about. You know, um, we
Mhm.
got to take these things and take them to heart. Me of all people, and I know better. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I know better. I know better. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
how do you go from you know being a person who is known for being in shape and you know better, and it's just the practices that you got and you did from when you were very young, like that.
But then you do this to yourself, right?
Exactly. How do you go from looking like that at 19 years old and then life will fool you. Life will come around and take its time. I could have smashed you one time and knocked you down, and it's possible that it can do that. But it's going to drain you and put things in your mind that you need to go after. I'm not saying we're all money hungry here, but for all intents and purposes in this particular system, we got to get that money. But at what point do we
Mhm.
realize that the money is fake, it's an illusion, and we need to back off and go back to basics? Are you getting your sunlight? Are you getting your rest?
Right.
Via the sleep
Right.
you get, are you getting good rest? Are you getting nutrition, good
Proper
nutrition?
nutrition. Right.
And many of us say that,
Right.
oh, well, it's so expensive to eat, whatever. Well, of the food you already eat now, try to eat less of it. Eat less of it. Implement
That's
some
it.
things. Cook more
That's it.
good food. I mean, you get the brown rice. You get the basic vegetables. A lot of us want the steak and all this stuff or something like that. We're gonna have to give this up. If there really is a
Mhm.
food shortage coming from the meat being tainted, guess what? Then we're gonna all have to go plant based anyway.
Gonna
You
have
see
to
what I mean?
go something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Exactly.
exactly.
And I find that these supermarkets, they're taking advantage of this situation too. Because the prices are going up. Um, I find it interesting that before all of this happened, you couldn't have enough paper products on the shelf. Now you can't find anything. I mean, and the craze has sort of died down. So you would think, oh, paper towels. Why are there no paper towels? I mean, I could still understand the madness with the toilet paper. Why are there no paper towels? Why do you not have, for instance, I was in there today and I was just down the paper aisle and I'm looking at everything that's not on the shelf. Paper plates, um, paper towels, paper napkins, toilet paper. That entire section is gone.
Hmm.
And then now they have these other types of name brands, or no name rather, toilet paper, and they're selling them for like $1 a roll. No name toilet paper, not Scott, not Bounty or whatever. Just these no name, $1.25 for one stupid little roll that could only last you maybe one day. This is just disgusting, you know. And then that, and that's what they have on the shelf. I mean, and it's not on the shelf; they're in boxes. And so I said to the guy, one of the attendants, I said, "So are you trying to tell me that y'all don't have shipments coming in anymore? There's nothing coming in?" And he's like, "Ma'am, as soon as they come in, they're gone." That's impossible.
I
That's
know, I know.
absolutely impossible.
I don't see
You
people
know,
walking out of the stores with that much like that. I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
exactly,
So
exactly.
that's a
So
factor. Why?
they're limiting it? They're limiting what they're putting out there, and then they're charging you more for the the ones that they are putting on the shelf. They're charging you more. All the prices in the stores. Where if you went to the supermarket 3 months ago and you spent $150 and you bought groceries for the week, you go in there today and you're spending $300 for those same items.
See?
And I'm not kidding. I'm not even kidding you because I went to the store today and I won't even, it was disgusting the amount of money I spent and I don't even know what I bought.
Mm. I know.
I,
I know.
I
The
don't know
dollar
what
is
I
being
bought.
diminished.
You know, yeah,
But
yeah,
it's been, and this is another byproduct of this thing that
yeah.
we're not working. I mean, overall, a lot of people are not working because of this, and then they're waiting for a stimulus check that won't cover anything. At what point they
Right.
say, "Well, we'll push back and give you a grace period, for your rent or your mortgage, but you still have to pay it." And what about those
Mm-hmm.
people who owe child support? Do their wages and stuff get garnished? Plus, we have to pay
Who
taxes on this
knows?
thing. This is not free and clear.
Right,
This is going to count toward our income. And by the time we get
right.
it, for those who got it, it didn't happen right away. Things have piled up. $1,200. What
Mm-hmm.
is that? Plus the unemployment that you
Nothing.
may have been getting, but the money in a dollar is being diminished. What's happening next? Look,
Right.
I really want to see. Maybe I'll go to a dealership tomorrow. I want to do some interesting things. I'm going to ask their permission if I can ask them overall. Maybe they won't tell me the truth because they want to keep sales going. But maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
go in there and ask a couple of these dealers, listen, can I ask you something honestly on a recording? Because I know they're not going to want their face put out there, the
Mm-hmm.
person I would
Right, right.
I'm not even going to whip out a mic like that. I'll keep my phone or something and say, listen, I need to ask you something. I'm not going to even say what dealership it is, who you are, or whatever have you, but how has this affected sales? Right? I mean, I want to get an honest answer because I don't think there are people walking around. Have they lowered their prices? I know automobiles, the prices are going to go down. So what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
this thing is affecting areas that maybe not right now, but the
Right.
repercussions. What about these pensions in these private companies where the people are not working now? So who's putting money
Mm-hmm.
into the pot? Can
Into
you
the pot.
guarantee? Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. To keep things going.
Exactly. And with the stock market going, the dance it's been doing lately, I mean, pensions are usually in these mutual funds, and unless you have a good fund manager, that's a problem. Because you could be losing your shirt.
Hmm.
You could be losing all that money that you put into your pension fund. You know, that's the tricky part of this all. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things, and then as these as these different factions collapse, how do they collapse on each other? How does the collapse of each one affect each other? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Remains to be seen.
Interesting.
Hindsight is
Remains to be
2020.
seen.
This time, okay,
You know.
imagine. Let's just imagine what it's like this time next year when we look back to really see what really happened. Some of us
Oh
get the
man.
trajectory after, it's like this. Us waking up, it's like the
Mhm.
person who doesn't know a dance step, but they're going into a dance class or to a friend's house to learn a dance step. Now, say you take
Right.
10 friends who don't know the dance step, and you're going into the living room, and it's like, okay, watch me, let me show you, watch it a couple times first. There's always that person or the people of the 10 that are going to catch on really quick because they have a natural propensity to absorb this. This is their gift or talent. Then you
Right.
have 5 or 6 who take a little longer, right? And then
Right.
and then you have 2 or 3 who just don't get it. They
They're
walk
just
out.
gonna step over their toes like myself.
I don't doubt it. You got some rhythm in you somewhere. But the thing is that how many of us are going to have to take a longer time before we realize
Yeah.
that there's some
Right.
sleight of hand and smoke and mirrors going on right now.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I'm not a happy
Yeah.
I'm not a happy conspiracy theorist. I'm a person who looks at reality and has seen all along there's a certain trajectory, and we're being boxed in. It is not
Mm-hmm.
good. It is not good at all.
It's not good. This is unprecedented. This is absolutely. I mean, the world is changing to where the fear factor that they're trying to instill in people, congregating is never going to be the same again. So going into a car dealership, like you were saying, how does it affect sales? How do you sit down and negotiate with someone now? Because what do? You sit 6 feet apart, try to figure out what's happening. You talk through a map. You know, it's interesting that you brought up the car dealership because I have one of these little hurry come up car dealerships, uh, not too far from where I live, and it took them almost a year to get the property together and start putting cars on the lot.
Yes.
And they just recently really started to increase their inventory, to put inventory on the lot, and then this thing happened. And I drove past it today, and I looked over, and I was like, I wonder how business is going for them. I literally thought about that, like, I wonder how business is going. Here they have all these nice-looking cars, but not a one person walking around the lot. Nobody's there.
Wow.
So it's interesting that you thought about that because that was something that really I looked at today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, but even look at restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to recover?
The paranoia involved.
Exactly. How do they recover? Right. I asked my son, I said, when this is all over, do you think the restaurant industry is going to survive this? And he looked at me and he's like, Mommy, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm. Sit-down
meals won't work anymore. I don't think sit-down meals are going to happen.
Only at home. But see, this pushes us back. All of this pushes us back to the original way. It pushes us back to being home-based, cooking your meals at home. You can have the social thing going on in your home. I know people have had to work different hours because the society is changing. Again, I've said it on other videos where it's not the same way where you can go downtown and fill out an application and work for 20 years and retire on a good retirement. It's not like that anymore. We have to get fragmented income, for the most part. It's slowly but surely being changed this way, but this is the knockout blow coming here. But it pushes us to going back to the original way. Go get your food, come home, prepare every morsel that you take in your body, carry it with you, keep it as natural as possible. Sit around that dinner table and have a conversation.
And laugh and talk.
And talk and bond together. The world is saying social distancing, but your home you still control. But we got to go back to that. What happened to saving on electricity and a bunch of you getting together and washing your clothes by hand? Saving electricity and not using the dishwasher. What are we in a rush for? Why do we have so much time right now and we're still using a dishwasher? We're still using a machine. Get rid of all that and go back to basics because what happens if we don't even have those things? Remember, what if? This is still very real. It's just this engineered thing. You have to consider every what if. Look, like I said, the coronavirus was around at the turn of the new year. But we didn't think it was going to hit us like this. Now look at this.
Nobody.
5 months later on. But what happens now if there is a power outage, if there's a national or regional or local blackout? How is that going to affect you with no power now? Right?
And living in Florida, I mean, we've experienced that. You've experienced it. I mean, every time there's a hurricane season,
man, don't let that. When June comes, don't let that happen. Don't let a hurricane come now, and now we have to be boxed in. What's going to happen?
Exactly.
And some people are not going to have anywhere to go.
Right. For those people who know how to maneuver through it, because we've had to live through it, it might be just that much easier. I'm not saying it's going to be easier, but we might tolerate it, or we might be able to, to handle it just a little bit easier than most.
Wow.
I don't know. because you've been through no electricity. You had to
Yeah.
you know deal with what do you do
Right.
well stuff in the refrigerator that you either have to figure out a way to cook or throw it away.
Right.
You know, yeah,
Let's see. Again, going back to the basic way. Why don't we have grills? Why don't we have way of, the charcoal if that's healthy for you or not? I don't know,
right,
but we have all
right,
that stuff and
right,
we use it. We
right.
build
That's
outdoor
true.
structures where it's open that we can cook freely. Like, okay, we may not want to bring a grill inside the house, right? But we can cook
Right,
freely. Prepare for that. It's more basic. It might be something that you find uncomfortable, but it's a good thing not to be in your comfort zone because if you keep yourself out of the comfort zone, when things come to make you uncomfortable, it's what you're used to. Enjoy a little bit of comfort, yes. I understand that.
right,
But be ready to let it go. Be ready to detach yourself
right,
from it. You know what I mean?
right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. I
That's
remember that blackout back in '77.
oh, I remember that.
I was in New York.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God, that was
I
oh
was on 133rd Street between 103rd Avenue and 101st Avenue. We just finished playing softball, and it was the evening, and it was already
mhm.
dark, and then boom, here everything just got dark, and all of a sudden, boom, here
Yeah.
it is. And I
And then
remember,
it went black.
yeah,
It
it
was
was
already
black.
dark, and then it went
Yeah,
black.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and it was crazy. You know,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
that was something else.
And people went to looting and going and stealing bicycles and
Yes.
mopeds, those
Yes.
blackout bikes and everything. I remember that.
Yes.
But if that happened now, okay, okay. If that happened now, the way we are dependent on social media to
Social
communicate,
media,
we're more
we would
dependent.
lose our mind.
No, it'll
People
be,
are going to
yeah,
lose pandemonium.
yes, it really would be. At
People are
this
going to
point,
lose their mind.
we're very vulnerable to that right now. And
Yes.
that's why we need
Yes.
overall, and some are not going to do it because they were born into it.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at a child. I mean, look at a person who is 30 years old now. 30 years old. Okay, this is 2020, right? And they
Hmm.
were
Hmm.
born in 1990. For many of us,
1990. Right.
1990 was just the other day, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
when they were 10 years old, they knew about the internet and computers. But
Hmm.
MySpace around 2003, 2004, they're 13, 14
Hmm.
years old. They came up in
Hmm.
their adolescence using social media. They know a world that I mean, the world they have certain things don't exist. Payphones,
Right. Right.
beepers. I
Right.
remember back in the day when you would call a friend and you wanted to
Yeah.
get to them, and if they weren't home, if their mother or father picked up, well, they're not home right now.
Hmm.
And if you left a
There,
voicemail, you were stuck. Now
there is
everybody
no
has
voice
phones.
bill.
Yeah. So
There is no
now,
voice of the boss. The mom will pick up the phone with the voice.
yeah, that's right. That's right. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
You know,
imagine
could you
now.
tell them that? Like, could you tell them that Ella called, please? And it's like, okay, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll be stuck right now because some are not used to that, and these are grown people. Okay,
Yes.
now those of us
Hmm.
who are used to it, we might have gotten used to it in our older age, but the bottom line is that we can go back to that time. It's like, okay, I miss it, but I know what it's like to not have it. You know?
I'm gonna be honest with you. No, no, no. Mm-mm, mm. I may have to just be Jamaican for a second. Me really don't know if me can go back. Me don't know.
You can. Trust me. You look. You can go back. It's in you. It's in your DNA. Trust me. You okay? Admit to yourself that you may not want to go back.
I
Right?
may not want to go back. Yeah, that's the
But
thing. I may not
you
want to go
can
back.
go
And I
back.
can do.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
you
yeah. I
can
can.
go
I
back.
can. I
Listen,
can.
look. The trade-off is use it for the best. Connect with the good people
Mm-hmm,
out there who are
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
like-minded. I still stress
Right.
whoever you can trust. or build a trust, because trust has to be earned, and there are a lot of shysters in cyberspace in these shark infested waters. Build that, because when this thing is snatched away, so imagine now, imagine, and I'm not a doomsayer, I'm not saying all this to panic anybody, but if we prepare, it's like having a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. If you don't want to talk about that, if there is a fire, you really want to panic then. Let's talk about it so that if it happens, you can snatch it and put the fire on and say, man, I'm glad I planned. It's like driving with no insurance. We don't want an accident to happen, but if it is, you have some coverage, even though these little buggers try to escape paying out when they should. We know this. So we need to be a little more preventative and think ahead of time so we can have peace of mind when things happen. What is your plan of action if there's a blackout? What is your plan of action if all the grid goes down and we can't access social media and text somebody? How do you connect with loved ones? And if something happens and you're in the same city, where do you meet up? Where do you meet up? Have you agreed on that?
Right, that's true. And I'm scattered all over the place. So, I think I was talking to you one time back in, when this whole thing jumped off over here and everyone was rushing to figure out what they're going to do. And, that's been my biggest concern, is we're all over the place. We're not in the same vicinity. We're not even, in a, say, 30, 40-mile radius of each other where we could say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and certain ones of us are in areas where, God forbid, something jump off tomorrow morning, we might be locked in because we have to cross bridges.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if they decide,
bullets fly.
And then if it's a situation where you wake up and they tell you, oh, the bridges are closed, you didn't get any time to say, okay, you know what, something sounds funny. Let me make tracks. You just woke up to this is what is. And so those are the things that I concern myself with more than anything else. Is the what if, not because I'm not prepared, but because it's sprung on you in a manner in which you can't exercise your preparedness.
Right. Understood.
Right.
Wow. So, I mean, we might as well think about these things now since we have time. And, I just want to ask anybody in the general audience who hears this show, if not even now, are there ways out there to have solar power where it's not your whole apartment or your whole home, that you can maintain this over time, where you have some type of power that can power some means of communication? How does shortwave radio really work? Could it be a direct communication with people out of the state if you have some kind of power? What alternative individual sources of communication can we use? I'm just putting that question out there to get us to think about those things, because if that happened and we had access to those things, it would skyrocket in price. We got to think creatively around this.
Right. Okay. So if it is there, you got to be, like the simple fact that we're talking about right now, that's something that once we get off this chat, people need to be looking into. Like I bought some walkie-talkies, and I'm actually getting ready to look at buying some more, because after I really checked it out, I wasn't really happy with the radius it had on it, the miles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm going to look into something with a little bit more long range.
Right.
Because you need to have something, like you said, if communication is gone, you need to have something where even if it's in a 200-mile range, you can communicate with people.
Right.
Right.
But I heard even with, and I know you have those really powerful things, and I know CB radio is kind of dated, but they do, really quick, we were speaking to me the other day about that, and they do have it where you can, I don't know if it's bootleg or not, so I'm not trying to push anything illegal, but he was telling me that you can have certain channels locked in. I don't know how it's done now, maybe it's different, but we have to find a different way of communicating or knowing what is happening outside in the world.
Right.
And also have a power source that we can use from it. And really just for that. because a solar system is only as good as the power that you can store. So if you don't have a
Uh-huh.
bigger capacity, then that's it. Or use that when you need it. Get on for a little while and get off, and don't drain yourself
Uh-huh.
down. You have to budget yourself.
Right.
Even when things are
Right.
good and it's a whole house system, you're not going to just run everything like you would do when you have direct connection to the power grid.
Exactly.
So again, it's not a matter
Exactly.
of doomsaying. It's a matter of planning ahead of time so that at least you can have knowledge of what's going on. Because we have to look back in recent history. Look what happened with Hurricane Katrina. We had police officers that were shooting and killing black people.
Right.
So you
Just like
just
that.
don't know. How do you protect
Right.
yourself? How do we protect
Right.
ourselves and preserve ourselves and be able to
I
prepare
got
our
some
food?
tasers. I did. I
How about
did.
that? I got you.
Because hey, I'm sorry. Firearms have never been something I was, you know, uh, that. But anyway, I went and got myself several tasers, and
Oh, I ain't mad at you.
so,
I'm not mad at you. Whatever it takes, but just understand that everything that one may get, there's alternative things and overlapping things. And again,
uh-huh,
this is not like to say like these rednecks who stocked up on all these guns because Obama's president. Because the thing, how do you
right,
protect yourself from the coronavirus, so called, with a gun? See, so
right,
now we have fear. Do you shoot at people now because you think they have it? That are coming? But the main thing is the food shortage, and one house has a stock up on some things that you can keep. We need to think military right now. You see what I mean?
uh-huh,
You know,
uh-huh,
those
uh-huh.
freeze dried meals, whatever you call them. Um, in the comment
Yeah,
section again.
MREs,
Yeah.
MREs.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why I was going to say MRI, but it just shows you how off I am. Can I have some MRIs? What's that? Okay. So we got to educate those who have a military background and military training, and into the comment section what they understand that would, are civilians out here who have minimal knowledge, and some of
Right,
us who have some.
right,
What would happen
right.
when there's some urban warfare going on and we have to fend for
Mm,
ourselves? That would make a big
right.
difference. It's not good. It's like basically now, it's uncomfortable.
You know,
It's like picking out a
it's
casket. Nobody wants to do that. You know what I mean? So
right, right,
once we
right.
get through this and understand, we'll feel better when things. And if not, if things don't happen, all the better.
Mm-hmm.
But just be
All the
prepared
better.
and not do it
Right,
from an emotional place. Just do it nominal. Just to
right,
say, hey.
right. I remember years ago, several years ago, when I was still in church, and we're going to church. It's not the standard fare. We had discussions that you and I, or in the chat, the things that we talk about. It wasn't stuck on this. You know, how can I say it? The old rhetoric that came up through the church ranks, so to speak. Um, we had sensible discussions. We tried to make sense out of what we were reading, just so people get an understanding of where, when I say church, where I'm coming from. But anyways, the pastor, she and I were very good friends. And I had mentioned to her, I said, you need to be doing certain things for your congregation, or at least you need to be um, teaching them how to stockpile food, how to be prepared. You need to have a food pantry, and I remember telling her to do all these things. Now, did it get done? No, I'm not there anymore, and certain things never got implemented, but we were talking about these things from way back,
Yes.
you know, and now here we are.
Mm. A different world.
Yeah,
Different world indeed.
yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap it down right now so I can get.
Okay.
We did a good hour and a half, and we thought it was going to be a little shorter, but it was good. I'm going to jump right in
Yeah.
the sack. I'm going to drink a little bit of tea, flush out my system, jump in the sack, get right
Okay.
up, and get right back at it again. We're going to do something in the morning time. And throughout the day, I have a video that I did go to the park and do. I didn't do the audio that I said I was going to do, but I'll do that tomorrow. So it's going to be several
Right.
things we always offer, but we're going to keep it intelligent. We're going to keep it something useful, and we're going to just talk on different subjects, and we will have fun. But this was good tonight.
Okay.
And see, I got you to talk a lot more than you thought you would.
Yeah.
I just want to say to everybody, if they want to continue,
Very sneaky. Very sneaky. Yeah.
you ought to know me by now, right? I just want to say to everybody that if you want to continue to chat after the show, on my website, Lancescurv.com, if you can hit this link that I'm about to put in, you can go there and continue to chat. But when you get there, you have to say something. Don't just go there and wait because you won't be seen until you put something out there. If you say a hello or whatever have you. So directly after the show, if you want to go on and you can go there when there's no show. Even if you don't know a person, okay? Take that link. If you want to talk with them and don't want to give up an email address or a phone number, you can go there and chat with them. And you can sign up whichever way you want to sign up. There's multiple ways of doing that on the actual platform there with a name that you make up or your Facebook or your Twitter. So it's a safe way. I set that up and you can utilize it. I'm not charging anybody anything because it's paid for. You can chat forever. If there's somebody you think is decent or whatever, say, hey, go to this at 3:30 in the morning, meet me there. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, meet me there. You see what I mean? And let's chat there. And even when there's a chat going with somebody else that's there, you can go private. It's all easy to work. And I'm always
they need to utilize this. They need to utilize it because nobody's using it, right?
I'm gonna keep
nobody's going in there. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep it up, and nobody's really utilizing it. So, Melanin Envy, we gotta keep registering there. We're building up slowly but surely. But I tell you one thing: if these major so-called platforms disappear, they'll be gone. It's there, but I'm not mad at anybody. It's just there. But make sure to go there and utilize it.
Right.
It's a safe way to communicate. It's a safe way to communicate.
Right.
But dear Sister Ella, any parting words before we go?
Stay safe, guys. Just do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself, to protect yourself, to keep yourself safe, to keep yourself healthy. It's not fair. It's prudence. That's what I have to say. Just do whatever you have to do to take care of yourself.
Yes, indeed. It's been wonderful, everybody. We're going to drop some links as we play the music on the way out. We will have more stuff. Maybe tomorrow night we'll open up the lines. We wanted to do that tonight, but we had that little echo going on. We had a little hiss going on, so we carried it this way. But we've been reacting with the chat room and vibing, and that's what we do here. And thanks to all who support. And thank you more over and above, Sister Ella.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you brought that female
energy. Pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody here who I love to see the conversations going on between people in the chat. I love this to be a drama-free platform. We can disagree but I love to see the fellowship. Right. I want to build something that goes beyond my name. You know what I mean? So that we can all just get some benefit from this. Let it be that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful journey. I've learned a lot. I don't know everything. I'm just the platform. I'm the plate, and you guys are the meal. And thanks for feeding me.
Well, I'm learning. So that's always a good thing.
Yes.
You want to be learning every day. You want to know that you learned something that you didn't know the day before.
That's right.
And that's how I look at things. Every day I should be learning something different. I should be motivated to research something that I didn't know yesterday. Yeah.
Wow. Heading towards 6 a.m. UK time, worldwide, Shantae Unique.
Wow.
Yes.
So Shantae is my friend. She's an awesome young lady. Or she could be my age. I'm calling her young lady, but hey, I love her.
Well, you're a young lady. It's not the age, it's the wear and tear. You don't have any wear and tear on you because black don't crack. You must know that.
I do know that. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night or morning or wherever you are. It's been good, and we're going to be back tomorrow night, maybe a little earlier, maybe like around maybe 9 or so. I want to make an official time, but we're out of here. We've enjoyed ourselves.
Yes.
And go on with your day and know that you're not alone.
Thank
You do
you.
have family,
Thank
you do have
you.
people who care, and we love you. And you
Yes.
can reach out to us anytime, and I'll put their contact information back up again, as well as a few links.
If Sandra is there, Sandra, hey girl, love you. Love you too.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank you so
night.
much, Ella. I'll talk to you
No
soon.
problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Alrighty.
Peace.
I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love.
You know I gotta hit that one again. I can't leave you flat like that. Here we go.
Go on, Lance.
I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love. I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love to the groove. I noticed I lost my love.
Everybody's in the field.